با سلام خدمت همه حاضرین در جلسه. من محمد کاظمی هستم، به عنوان مجری این برنامه امروز در خدمت شما عزیزان هستم. اجازه بدید قبل از هر چیز اول ماه مهر روز جهانی کارگر رو به همه شما عزیزان تبریک بگم. ما در برنامه امروز 3 تا سخنران خواهیم داشت، 3 تا پیام شادباش و همچنین چندین ویدیو کلیپ که امیدواریم که ما بتونیم همه اینا رو براتون نشون بدیم و امیدوارم برنامه خوبی رو با همدیگه داشته باشیم. اجازه بدید در اینجا برنامه رو با سرود انترناسیونال شروع بکنیم. از شما میخوایم به پاس احترام به جانباختگان راه آزادی و برابری و سوسیالیسم به پا خیزید و 1 دقیقه سکوت. با تشکر. Here I would like to ask our first speaker, Issam Shokri, left Worker-Cummunist Party of Iraq. Welcome here to deliver his speech.
Comrades, good evening, comrades and friends, ladies and gentlemen. I'm honored to be here after a long pause with my comrades in the Worker-Communist Party of Iran, and also my comrades in the left Worker-Communist Party of Iraq. I want to extend my congratulations for Mayday and say that this is a great day that we celebrate annually, and this expresses the cry out of the working class and the labor against capitalism. Today, I shared a post from Deutsche Welle, the news agency, German agency, that is celebrating Marx's birthday. And they say Marx is the great German thinker who changed, and I quote, the face of history. And I say, what's going on? Marx was deprived of his German citizenship back then, and now he's been honored by the Germans, the German government. And I'm just drawing an attention to that. There is a significance, in my view, that this news agency would commemorate Marx's birthday. Comrades and friends, the Mayday is a day of protest, as you know, against capitalism and against the horrors and the wars and the famine and deprivation and impoverishment, women's slavery of the 99% of the world. But in my view, it goes beyond that at these days. In my view, today, Mayday is a representative of the cry out of humanity and humanism against barbarism. It goes beyond the boundaries of working class, in my view. It goes to the whole of humanity, to the horrors, to the famine and deprivation, to the killing, to the springing of Islamic and the most ridiculous bourgeois tendencies, right-wing and ultra-right-wing tendencies in the world. We live in a world of wealth and abundance, as you can see, and this abundance is created and made by the working class. However, and this is the contradiction, the working class is ever more deprived of this abundance and of the good living and of the rights and freedoms and equality. Comrades and friends, today the material for a change, for a workers' revolution is ready. And I think that this material is not ready only by the fact that the working class is there and is politically aware, but also by the fact of science progress, technology, and the attack or counter-attack, I would say, on religion and the religious governments around the world, particularly the Islamic Republic of Iran, Saudi Arabia, and all the protectors of political Islam. Some people would say, Mayday, come on, it's an old cliche. I say, if you want to know why we celebrate Mayday, then look around you in the world and see the misery that billions of people are living under, the deprivation of billions of people, the wars. Take Syria, for example. Look at Syria and the barbarism that is prevalent now. Look at the destruction of Mosul in North Iraq. Look at the hundreds of thousands of people deprived of a decent living quarter. Not even running water is available for them. And somebody would ask me, why are you celebrating May Day? We are all okay, we go to work, we have cars. There are many tragedies that happen around, even on the West, in the West. The values of humanity has been degrading gradually. And I'm not going to talk about any of the values that we previously criticized and talked about, like presenting the society into sects, into religious groups or ethnicities, and the attack against humanism, attack against modernity, attack against women's rights, and put the women's rights under the yoke and governance of the mullahs and the religious leaders, and the collaboration of the Western governors with the mullahs and the sheikhs, whether in Saudi Arabia or in Iran or in Israel as well, as a Jewish state, as they call it. Billions of people have been migrating from one part of the world to the other. Billions of people are underwaged, especially in Asia. All these products, the Walmart paradise that they created in the West, has been created by the hardship and toil of millions and millions of underwage laborers in Bangladesh, in Singapore, and in China as well. The working class has been struggling to be at the forefront, to struggle against the atrocities and against the attacks of the capitalist system against them. As far as Iraq is concerned, and I'm coming from Iraq and I represent the Left Worker-Communist Party of Iraq, I would like to touch upon the state in Iraq. Iraq was the center of state for many, many years, particularly for over 20 years, since the sanctions was imposed on it. And then the war was waged on it on 2003. And then the destruction of a whole country. And nobody until now understands the reason for that. Iraq, its government was uprooted. The semi-civil society was destroyed, and in the vacuum they put the militias, Shia, Sunni, tribals, religious leaders, and each one of these retarded and backward leaders are governing now a group or a zone in Iraq. Until this moment, no radical change has been made. The bourgeoisie, whether the international bourgeoisie, i.e. the America and the West, nor the local governments in the region like Saudi Arabia, Iran, and Turkey, of course, have been able to solve the issue in Iraq. They tried to put Iraq into a position to be an ally of the West. But at this very moment, Iraq has not been able to form a normal government. And now they are arranging for elections. And what a farce elections they are making. These elections are a reproduction of the same faces, of the same groups, of the same religious leaders, of the same tribal leaders, of the most reactionary forces you can imagine. Some of them are being backed by the Islamic regime in Iran, and some of them are being backed by the Saudi government and the Turkish government, and so on and so on. This situation is still prevalent, and for that, I don't need even to touch upon the elections, which we described as farce. And we are trying and struggling to talk to the working class in Iraq and to the workers to have a position against this election. There's one notion I would like to draw your attention to, and the working class in Iraq in general, and I hope that my English speaking, the speech will be translated into Arabic later on. There is a serious attempts by the Iraqi government to get closer to the working class in Iraq. Now, for those of you who don't know the struggle of the working class in Iraq, it has passed through a very, very hard times since the occupation of Iraq by the US and the toppling of the regime. True, the working class have been surfaced out and they have been speaking openly about their struggle and issues. But they killed the working class by dividing society into sects. So the Sunni worker is against the Shia worker, and the Shia worker is against the Christian worker, and the Christian worker have many sects, and the Yazdi, and then ISIS came, and all this chaos, all this misery that have been created was, the working class was the first victim of this division of society into sectarian society. However, because of the long history of the working class in Iraq and their left tendency, which protected them in a way, especially their leaders, they, and the presence of our party, humbly said, the presence of our party, we were with them in every step of the way, and we warned them of these traps that the government is now trying to put them into. They managed to unify. There are 4 sections of the working class in Iraq, the organizations, I mean, from the organizational point of view, there are 4 sections. They united recently, about a year ago, under one umbrella. And they realized that with unity and with our stress upon the importance of unity of the working class, they managed to be a solid front against the bourgeoisie in Iraq and the government of militias, which is truly a government of militias, nothing more, nothing less. Now the government is calling, and the Minister of Labor is calling upon the leaders of the working class to come over, let's talk. And they are trying to appease the workers in a way to say that you have a role to play in the new Iraq, and you are the builders of Iraq, and so on and so forth. We have listened to that, and we criticize that. And from this platform, I would like to talk to my comrades in Iraq and the working class in Iraq to be aware of these traps. They need the workers to be silent. They need the workers to be low-waged. They need the workers not to organize. They need the workers not to be one hand, with one fist. That's why they call them and they make negotiations. And we have talked about that. And we are there to support the workers in their struggle against this corrupt group of thieves and robbers and criminals. And I'm not saying that because, you know, I'm just trying to make a propaganda against them. They are literally a group of criminals, the government of Iraq. And they are in power and they are playing themselves as a state, but they are failing. And I believe the move that the working class in Iraq has made about a year ago or 2 years ago, and we were with them all along, has made the government and the militias inside the government aware of the fact that the working class in Iraq is strong, and they could be a threat against any plans that America, the US, Iran, and the rest of it would have or would put into play with the Iraqi government. So comrades and friends, I don't want to go into depth about Iraq. I just want to mention one other thing. We always, as communists, we say class struggle, and it's the engine of history as Marx described it. Now, class struggle, I just want to illuminate on that word. Class struggle, in my view, is a social struggle, not only an economic struggle. So the working class, when they struggle for women's rights, for the woman not to wear a veil, for the woman not to be harassed at work, for the woman to be equal, this is a class struggle that the workers should engage into. It's not only when I raise the banner of minimum wage, then I'm doing a class struggle. And this remark I would like to pass on to my comrades. I know that this is happening now in Iraq. I know that our party is pushing on that agenda particularly. And we are saying, working class, our comrades, this is an opportunity for you to raise the banner of humanism in Iraq. And humanism here is not an idealistic bourgeois slogan. It's a real class struggle about half of the Iraqi society. The women are prisoners in Iraq. They are beaten. They work 3 jobs, including the work at home, which is unpaid. And they are beaten, and they are discriminated against, and there are arranged marriages, and there are all sorts of things, including what ISIS has done to the Yazdi women, of having them as sex slaves, which is a shame on the face of humanity. It is a really, truly shame. And I feel disgraced that this has happened and everybody around the world are drinking champagne and as if nothing is happening. And people are saying, moderate Islam, moderate Islam. We don't want moderate Islam, we want to rid the society of Islam. We want to put Islam in the cage, in the garbage bin. Because this is what they brought to the middle of the 21st century. Women humiliation, sex slaves, the struggle of Islamic groups have created havoc in Mosul and the Yazidi women. Hundreds of thousands of people were enslaved. And this is happening now, 2018, late 2017, before the Mosul was decided in the plan of Trump and his allies to be liberated. And who knows what the plans were in the first place, if Mosul could have been avoided this tragedy and atrocity, and hundreds of people, thousands of people would have been saved this shameful destiny. So comrades, friends, if you take anything out of my speech, if you take anything, the class struggle is not about only minimum wages, or more holidays, or give me a school bus to my son. It's about women issues. It's about equality between women and men. It's about segregation between mosque and the state. We don't want the mosque, we don't want mullahs in the state. This is a class struggle. It's not some luxury. It used to be luxury in the French Revolution times. Now it's a must because the working class need that. Women are enslaved in the modern eras. And anyone who defies and say, no, you are adopting bourgeois slogans, especially the radical left that has nothing to do but shouting anti-imperialist slogans without looking at the society and the tragedies of the society. And of course, I'll leave the Iranian society to my comrade Hamid Taqwai, and I wouldn't have touched that, but I want to expose the situation in Iraq. It's truly catastrophic. And the more we feel that things are moving forward, we feel that they are dropping backwards in Iraq because of this government, because of political Islam, because of the Islamic Republic interference in Iraq, because of Saudi in Iraq, because of America in Iraq. So comrades, my view is that it's about time we interfered. It's about time we say to society, we don't want this. We want to topple this regime. We want to topple this government, this militia government. It's about time that working class in Iraq be politicized, be militant in the political sense of the word, to interfere in the whole issues of society. And this has not happened yet in Iraq, unfortunately. It might have happened in Iran, but it hasn't happened in Iraq yet. And to do that, what we need is a political, socialist, worker, communist party. And luckily, we have it. And here, I'm not talking about only us, but about hundreds of other people who have joined us recently, and we are gaining more and more momentum. And my comrade Samir can elaborate on that. Because now the left is in the street. And unfortunately, I see so many issues coming to me, and I cannot talk about them all. I don't want to bore you with that. But I feel that the left, the true left, the socialist left is in the street now. Not only in Baghdad, not only in Tehran, but here also. The left, the office left, the living room left, the bedrooms left is no longer valid. It's the left that fights for equality between women and men that is valid. It's the left that fight for workers to have better life and decent life on the streets of Toronto and Vancouver and Seattle and Washington and everywhere in the West. This is the left that is now presenting itself. What do we need to do? Is to be the leader of this left. We need, as Iraqis, we need to be the leaders. We need leadership. We represent the working class with leadership. And this leadership cannot be claimed just by claiming it, but just by saying, we are the leaders. No, we can't do that. Workers are not stupid. We need a political vision. And our political vision is socialism in Iraq. We need to establish a secularist, socialist government in Iraq. Before we say that, they laugh. You know what's happening now? They say, what? Socialism? What a wonderful idea. Let's do it. Comrades, things have changed. Times have changed. And now we should adopt the word socialism. We should adopt the goal of socialism. We should adopt the separation of religion from state. We should adopt the full equality of women and men. We should create an endeavor to the last minute of our lives to create a society that is worthy of a human being. Because we are worthy of a good society. We are worthy to draw our own futures. Happy May Day, comrades. Sorry for the elongation of my speech, and long live the Worker-Cummunist Party of Iran and its brother, the Left Worker-Cummunist Party of Iraq.
Thank you so much, Issam. اینجا دوستان عزیز، من از شما میخوام که به دو تا کلیپ پیام‌های شادباش و تبریک به مناسبت اول ماه مهر که از طرف دو تن از فعالین کارگری از ایران هستش ازتون دعوت میکنم که گوش بدید. با تشکر.
مهم به‌ویژه جانی کارگر در حقیقت روز وزن طبقه کارگر برای به دست آوردن خاص و مطالبات است. سرمایه‌داران و نظام حامی آنان بر این حقیقت واقفند، اینکه از آن روز وحشت دارند و با تمام نیرو در مقابل آن سفارایی و میخواهند آن را به بیراهه ببرند. ما کارگران نباید به نظام سرمایه‌داری و حامیان حاکمشان توهین داشته باشیم که از آنان درخواست مجوز کنیم. ما باید کاری کنیم که آنان خود برای ما مجاز تهیه کنند و امنیت ما را در خیابان‌ها تضمین کنند. سرمایه‌داران و نظام حاکم در ایران برای اینکه کارگران در یک روز معین کارخانه‌ها و کارگرها را تهدید نکنند و ضرری به سرمایه‌داران وارد نشود، روز کارگر را هفته کارگر نامگذاری کردند تا هر کارخانه و یا کارگاهی در آن هفته تنها 1 ساعت کار را تهدید کنند و عملاً با این کارشان ماده 63 قانون کار را دور زدند. ما کارگران باید در آن روز معین دست از کار بکشیم و مال خودمان باشیم. ما کارگران باید در آن روز قدرت طبقاتی خود را در خیابان‌ها به نمایش بگذاریم. کارگران در سال تنها 1 روز دارند که در حقیقت مال خودشان هستند. سرمایه‌داران و نظام حامی آنان خوب می‌دانند که اگر آن روز به چند روز تبدیل شود، سرمایه آنان و نظامشان به سوی نابودی سرازیر خواهد شد. پیش به سوی تصرف خیابان‌ها در اول ماه می.
کارگری، بله واقعا جشن کارگری، چون کارگر شناسنامه داره و اینجا روزش هستش، بایستی این روز رو جشن میگیره. منتهاش علاوه بر اینکه باید جشن میگیریم، سرآغاز مبارزه کارگران و ستمدیدگان هست با دنیای سرمایه داری. کارگرانی که صاحب سرمایه هستن، یعنی تمام تولید در اختیار سرمایه دار است و زحمت در دست کارگران، ولی کارگران از این زحمتی که میکشن حداقل بهره رو میبرن و این فقط بایستی با مبارزه و تلاش و فعالیت در کنار هم بودن به اون خواستهای به حق خودمون برسیم و گرامی میداریم این روز رو. دوستان عزیز، همطبقه من، علیرغم اینکه نزدیک به 130-140 سال از اول ماه می میگذرد و کارگران همونطور که میدونیم به خاطر مطالبات به حق خودشون به خیابان‌ها آمدن و به خاک خون کشیده شدن توسط عمال سرمایه‌دارا و به دستور سرمایه‌دارا، امروز در کشور خودمون هم شاهد هستیم. کارگران در بدترین شرایط زندگی با وضعیت معیشتی روبرو هستند. کارگران امروز ما شاهد هستیم که حقوق‌های عقب افتاده‌ای دارند، 2 ماه، 3 ماه، 4 ماه، 6 ماه و خیلی هم بیشتر از اینا. با کارخانه‌های تقریباً ورشکسته روبرو هستیم، کارخانه‌هایی که واقعاً دارن با ظرفیت حداقلی کار میکنن و کارگران در بدترین شرایط دارن زندگی میکنن. وقتی کارگر اعتراض میکنه و معترض میشه نسبت به وضعیت معیشتیش که دستمزدمون میخوام، با پرونده سازی و دادگاهی و زندان روبرو میشه. از تنها راهی که میمونه به خواسته های به حق خودمون برسیم ایجاد تشکل‌های مستقل هستش. رابطه فعال بین کارگران هستش. کارگران بایستی تشکل‌های خودشون داشته باشن، بایستی یک صدا در کنار هم متحدانه در مقابل کارفرما مطالبات به حق خودشون رو بخوان. کارفرما امروز ما داریم میبینیم که وقتی دستمزد کارگر پرداخت نمیکنه، علاوه که دستمزد کارگر پرداخت نمیکنه، واقعا از نظر شغلی هم امنیت ندارن کارگران. و حالا دستمزد که واقعا دستمزد زیر خط فقر، دستمزد خیلی پایین است، طوری هست که مسئولین خودش رو اعلام میکنن که حداقل حقوق، یعنی خط فقر حداقل حقوق 2,700,000 تومان دولت اینجا میاد حقوق 1,100,000 تومانی رو اعلام میکنه و این حقوق هم کارفرما باز هم به موقع نمیده. یعنی 2 ماه 3 ماه شاید بیشتر هم طول میکشه که این دستمزد پرداخت میکنه. خب اینجا راه چاره فقط به نظر من ایجاد تشکل مستقل هستش، در کنار هم بودن هستش، کارگرها بایستی با هم متحد باشن، یک صدا تا به اون خواست به حق خودشون برسن. من در پایان روز جهانی کارگر، روز 11 اردیبهشت اول ماه می رو مجددا به همه کارگران ایران تبریک میگم، به کارگران جهان تبریک میگم. امیدوارم که این کارگران در هیچ جای دنیا مشکل معیشتی نداشته باشند. امیدوارم که کارگران از نظر معیشتی مشکلی نداشته باشند، از نظر کاری دغدغه‌ای نداشته باشند و امیدوارم که کارگران بتوانند تشکل‌های مستقل خودشون رو برپا بکنند. به امید آزادی تمام کارگران زندانی و به امید آزادی تمام انسان‌هایی که به ناحق پشت میره‌های زندان هستند. گرامی باد اول ماه می. سپاسگزارم از شما همه شما.
خب دوستان عزیز، اجازه میخوام در اینجا به طور خیلی مختصر یه مروری داشته باشیم از تظاهرات و مراسمی که در اول ماه مهر در تهران و نقاط دیگه کشور برگزار شد. همونطور که مطلع هستید، علیرغم جو پلیسی که رژیم در قبل و در روز اول ماه مهر برای فعالین کارگری به وجود آورده بود، تظاهرات و مراسم‌های مختلفی در تهران و جاهای دیگه برگزار شد. در تهران به فراخوان بازنشستگان و تشکل‌های کارگری تجمع با شکوه اول ماه مهر با شرکت صدها نفر از کارگران، بازنشستگان، معلمان و دانشجویان در مقابل مجلس برگزار شد. در هنگام پایان مراسم نیروهای انتظامی حکومت جمعیت را به محاصره کردند و به شیوه وحشتناکی به آنها حمله کردند که خوشبختانه تا اونجایی که من اطلاع دارم تمامی این دستگیر شدگان آزاد شدند. اینطور نیست؟ یه نفر هنوز هستش. فرجت ما رادیو پیام اینجا داریم که مطلع‌تر هستش. و گذشته از تظاهراتی که در جلوی مجلس برگزار شد، به نظر میاد که خود خانه کارگر مثل هر سال میخواست تظاهرات به صورت دولتی برگزار بکنه که این تظاهرات در اون که جمعیت زیادی شرکت کرده بودن با شعار درود بر کارگر مرد بر ستمگر کارگران شعار دادن و به همین خاطر به خانه کارگر این تظاهرات رو مثل سالهای دیگه لغو کرد که با مخالفت کارگران و مردمی که تو اون جمعیت بودن مواجه شد. و اما در شهرستان‌های دیگه، در اصفهان، اهواز، هفت‌تپه، اصلویه، یزد، مریوان، سنندج، شیراز، ماهشهر نیز ما شاهد مراسم برگزاری جشن اول ماه مهر یا تظاهرات و یا همچنین اعتصاب در اون روز به خاطر حقوق‌های معوقه و مسائل دیگه بود. علاوه بر تجمعات اول ماه مهر، فعالین کمونیست در نقاط مختلف کشور به مناسبت اول ماه مهر به شعارنویسی پرداختند و در تهران بنر بلندی از پل گیشا با شعار کار، نان، آزادی آویزان کردند. اعلامیه‌هایی به مناسبت اول ماه مهر نیز از روزهای قبل در چندین شهر در میان مردم پخش شد و یا بر روی دیوارها و تابلوهای دانشگاه‌ها نصب شد. اول مهر پایان یافت، اما اعتصابات و اعتراضات کارگری با قدرت ادامه دارد. تحرکات گسترده اول مهر نشان داد اگر فشارهای حکومت نبود ما شاهد صدها راهپیمایی گسترده و با شکوه کارگران و مردم آزادیخواه در سراسر کشور بودیم. اول مهر نشان داد که طبقه کارگر ایران به طور روزافزونی و بالنده‌ای تکیه‌گاه و الهام بخش تلاش کل جامعه برای رفاه و عدالت و برابری و آزادی است. من در اینجا میخوام فقط به این نکته اشاره بکنم که امسال در ترکیه در میدان تقسیم ما متاسفانه نتونستیم این کلیپش رو براتون آماده بکنیم ولی مثل هر سال هزاران کارگر، انسان‌های ترقی‌خواه، برابری طلب، عدالت‌خواه جمع شدن و در اونجا با از طریق بلندگوهای بسیار قوی سرود انترناسیونال پخش شد که بسیار هیجان انگیز بود. دیری نخواهد پایید، دیر یا زود ما شاهد این خواهیم بود که میدان آزادی همچون میدان تقسیم و همچون میدان التحریر قاهره به محلی برای مراسم اول ماه مه، تظاهرات و محل گردنمایی سوسیالیست ها، زنان و مردان ترقیخواه در میدان آزادی خواهد بود. به امید اون روز. Here I would like to ask for our long-standing friend John Clark from Coalition Against Poverty. Please come here and deliver your speech. دوستان عزیز، لطفاً من یادم رفت تلفناتون رو خاموش کنید و رو سایلنس بذارید.
Thank you very, very much, comrades. It's wonderful to be invited. It was great to see and hear the reports of struggles on Mayday taking place in Iran and in other countries. This year, I don't know if you've encountered it very much, but I've come across a term that is being used a great deal by apologists for this system. And the term is enlightened capitalism. There is this notion that capitalism can be repackaged in ways that will make it kinder and gentler and more humane. And probably in Canada we are cursed with a particularly cynical representative of that trend in the form of Justin Trudeau and the government that exists here, that poses as a force for progressive values while in fact going in the complete opposite direction. And many of the institutions of global capitalism have latched onto this idea of a new enlightened capitalism, the World Bank, the International Monetary Fund, people who are dripping in blood, but who nonetheless are posing as born-again progressive value people. And this, I think, is dispelled by the actual reality of what we are seeing. We are seeing intensified exploitation. We are seeing brutal measures of austerity internationally. We are seeing the intensification of what has become known as endless war on a global scale. And we are seeing rampant environmental disaster unfolding. On the exploitation front, almost to time itself almost with the advent of Mayday, the World Bank issued a report in which it called for minimum wages and employment standards and workers' rights to be eliminated on a global scale. All such measures that would restrict exploitation should be removed, and in its place should be put something that they call basic income. The idea being that somewhat better paid workers out of their taxes would provide a subsidy to low-wage employers to keep alive the workers who they had turned into a powerless, elastic, precarious, low-wage workforce. At the same time, Amazon, owned by the wealthiest person on the planet, Jeff Bezos, are so developing their capacity to exploit workers that they are experimenting with a bracelet that workers will wear in their workhouses that will steer people in the direction of where they need to go and will give them warning jolts if they go in the wrong direction. An absolutely chilling dystopian vision of the future being proposed under capitalism. When it comes to exploitation here, a particularly chilling note in the last couple of weeks. The Trudeau government talks of its progressive values, and to deal with Canadian mining companies, it has established what it calls an ombudsman for responsible enterprise. to try to control the rapacious, exploitative instincts of the Canadian mining companies. This last week, a woman from Papua New Guinea came to the annual general meeting of Barrick Gold Resources and actually spelt out the horrors that were being inflicted on her community and her people by a Canadian mining company. When it comes to austerity, measures of austerity and social cutbacks are now a global phenomenon being intensified. When it comes to endless war, capitalism's capacity for militarism and destruction is reaching levels that would have been unimaginable in previous decades. The Canadian government, headed by a so-called progressive, has announced that the military budget in this country will be increased by 70%. On a global scale, the Pentagon is now saying that the war on terror is out of date, that they are moving towards full-scale, big power rivalry to unleash the dogs of war on a scale that's unimaginable. And of course, Iran is in the crosshairs of that imperialist appetite. A great threat to Iran is now posed by Western imperialism. Although let me hastily say that in saying that and deploring the threat of Western intervention, in no way do I subscribe to the brand of so-called anti-imperialism that suggests that the Iranian working class should put the class struggle on hold. We fully support struggles of Iranian workers against the repressive and exploitative government that exists in Iran, and we celebrate all the struggles against wage theft. We applaud and stand in solidarity with those who face hellish jail conditions for their working class struggles. The struggle of the Iranian working class must be fully supported. Let me just say, when it comes to environmental degradation, in this country they are proposing to build a pipeline to transport the dirtiest oil on the planet to the west coast. The question of environmental degradation for socialists and those who look to a socialist future is now of extreme importance. And it's not just global warming. Globally, this system is destroying species on a scale that was unheard of at a previous time. The pollution that is being inflicted just in the form of plastic. You can go to the deepest trenches of the deepest oceans on this earth and still find plastic. Everywhere this system is polluting the planet in a way that is absolutely unimaginable. The reference was made to the choice between socialism and barbarism. And with great respect, I'd have to say that I think we're now in a situation where that's an unduly optimistic way of presenting it. Because what we are talking about is a system now that has reached the level where the very survival of life on this planet is threatened by this system of greed and exploitation that we live under. And so, on May Day, I think we can look back over the last year and say that we do face a vicious and a terrible and a cruel and a brutal and exploitative system. But everywhere, the working class is raising the banner of resistance. You could give many examples. I could certainly give examples of the struggles that have taken place this year in Iran. But let's just look to the very centre, the heart of the beast, the US itself. Right now, teachers in the United States have organised a rebellion and an upsurge that no one saw coming, that no one imagined would be possible. And yet, formerly conservative teachers in some of the most conservative states in the United States are challenging neoliberal austerity in a way that is incredibly powerful and incredibly important. And right in this city, at the moment, workers at York University in QP 3903 are striking in a landmark struggle that's not just for their immediate rights, but against the redesign of the university as a neoliberal, super exploitative institution. Finally, in bringing May Day greetings, let me just say that May Day is indeed a day to look to a socialist future for humanity. And there have been periods, particularly in the historically privileged countries like Canada, where the idea of raising socialism is considered something of a fringe idea. Today, even bourgeois opinion firms are registering the fact that support for the idea of socialism is growing, particularly amongst young people. And millions of people, even in North America, are embracing the idea of socialism and the possibility of socialism. And at this time, when we look at the future, or the lack of future that is being created by this system, it has to be said that the idea of socialism is not an outlandish proposal or a fringe idea, it is a vital necessity for humanity. And on this day, let me say, long live Mayday, long live Babak. Thank you.
خب دوستان عزیز، در اینجا ازتون میخوام که به دو کلیپ، یکی از مراسم برگزاری اول ماه مه در ایران و همچنین در سایر نقاط دنیا هستش توجه کنید. ما در این حال یک کلیپ دیگه داشتیم از طرف پیام شادباش شبکه همبستگی از مبارزات کارگران در خاورمیانه و آفریقای شمالی که متاسفانه اینو دیر به دست ما رسید و با از معذرت نمیتونیم اونو براتون نشون بدیم.